Before jumping directly into how to create prototypes in Keynote, I want to talk for a few minutes about what is a prototype and what it isn't, and why I create prototypes. So a prototype is not a complete app. It's not an end-to-end experience that you want to do in order to validate a product. Prototype is a step between an idea and a product. And all ideas, in my opinion, are just fantasies until they are prototyped. I've been doing a lot of prototypes in the past several years, and recently I've been doing almost a prototype each day to force myself to get my ideas in a concrete way that I can judge whether the idea is good enough or not, and I can feel it as soon as my idea is on the screen and I interact with it. I can feel if it's the right idea or not. So I'm going to show you bunch of examples, and all these examples are included with the version of this course with all the videos on how I create each of them, so you can see step by step how I do them. But I want to show you examples of why I prototype. So in this example, I'm prototyping this little screen. It's a one screen prototype. It's one screen with transition, and I want to validate like an animation in my head. How would it look to animate excuse me, a bunch of movie posters, to focus on only one of them, show the actors, and then when I click on an actor, I can get the related movies for that actor. So I only prototype this part of the experience. I didn't prototype the entire thing. What was, how does this look and feel like when it's prototyped, just that transition? And I prototyped it very low fidelity, as you can see, with a bunch of rectangles and ovals and so on. And then I did a little bit of a higher fidelity prototype where I'm prototyping this movie poster with a little bit of information, and I'm wondering, oh, if I click here and this director moves to the center, I can show the other movies from that director. And again, one screen, one transition. I just want to validate or to visualize that transition. Another example, that a website that I wanted to create, which is something that allows people to establish accountability for each other for when they're working on a project. So let's say you're creating a startup and you want to connect with like-minded people who will hold you accountable for your progress and your vision. So I started again by doing very quick, crude prototype for the building blocks on the screen, and then I created something simple with like the message, what the message look like, and these are all icons and buttons from Keynote UI templates. And then I progressed to a different version that I thought looked a little better, and then this is the final version of the prototype for the web page. And again, this took less than probably a couple hours to finish, but now I have a better visual concept of what would it look like. I can go with this one and show to some people and say, look at this web page and let me know what you will think. I can get a lot of feedback, which is not the purpose of doing prototypes. I get feedback about what to change in the concept before I start executing on the production. Another reason I prototype, which is one of the most important reasons as well, is to hand off the prototype to a developer and show them what I want them to get done, instead of having just a bunch of screens inside a long spec document. I used to be a product manager. I wrote a lot of documentations and a lot of specs and requirements. I didn't like that. And I always thought there must be a simpler way to just hand them off something that is semi-working, do a video walkthrough with it, annotate it with my voice, tell them what exactly I need in each screen, and then let them ask me the questions about what's not clear. And right now, that's exactly what I do. So this is kind of like a task app that I'm working on right now. And I prototyped this in a couple of hours, and I gave it to a developer. You can see there's a little bit of interaction here to get the task, create a task, and done, set the due date. And when you're done, it creates that task. And you can edit another task, and you can edit the due date, and so on. And this took a couple hours for me to create. I gave it to a friend of mine who's working on developing it, and we keep going back and forth on questions and so on, but I basically give him the Keynote file, a walkthrough video, and that was good enough for him to start working from. This is one more prototype that I do to kind of test multiple variations of an idea. So this is a one-screen calendar app that shows you what you have to do on a specific day. So this is your schedule. This is the busy and available time. These are the people you need to meet with them on that day, the places you need to go to, and the documents you need to look at, and the tasks you need to finish. So at a glance, I can get an idea about what I need to do that day. And this is actually an actual day for me. And I prototype it so I can look at it and say, does this look right? Is this useful to me? Instead of just putting some gray boxes or some wireframes, I'm actually using some real data. And the way I saw it, like, okay, what if I want to focus on just where I need to be to see these guys and what kind of document I need to look at? I prototyped that next because that was the next question in my head. And you can see the interaction is kind of basic, but it gives you an idea if you want to focus on something. And you start prototyping, you need to spend 5 to 10 minutes asking yourself, what is exactly that you need to prototype and why are you prototyping it? Are you prototyping it to validate a specific screen? Are you prototyping it to visualize, to see for yourself what your app would look like and get a feel for whether it's not a good idea? Or to give it to someone to develop it for you? In the beginning, you want to do broad strokes that are high level, so you can get an idea about each screen, like at a high level and high level interaction. And then you start adding more detail. The more detailed you hand off to the developers, the better. Get distracted prototyping everything for your app. Just focus on the 20% that would give you the right idea about what you need to validate, whether you want to validate it for yourself, whether you want to show it to others to test it, or whether you want to give it to a developer to code it for you.